Welcome in to the At the Yard Podcast, episode 140. I am your host, Les Lukach, once again joined by the entire gang with Hank, Vinnie, and Hardy. Gentlemen, week 5 has come and gone, and we have seen a lot of action, as our scout blog would indicate. I think it was up close to about 70 guys just for last week alone, and we have chosen about 20 guys to talk about here. And with NorCal in full swing, San Diego in full swing, obviously, the southern section is rolling. We are staring down the barrel of 3 weeks of tournament action coming up here, boys.
Yeah, I know the spring break's coming around up here. So, I mean, same for you guys. I think a good amount of NorCal teams are coming down to SoCal. So I think that'll be good just to get, that different taste of baseball.
Yeah, I like the spring break tournaments. You get to kind of see some different teams. You get to see different styles of play. I'll probably go up the coast, up into Atascadero again. I went up there last year for a spring break tournament. Saw some southern section teams play some central section teams, and it's a nice blend, and it's a fun opportunity to see some different ways of playing the game and some different teams.
Yeah, end of last podcast, I talked about, wanted to get ready for the Lions tournament, and that begins, starting next week. So, it's really getting going down here. I know it is for the rest of us. So a lot of baseball, good baseball ahead of us.
Yeah. Lions tournament, National Classic, Forest Classic, just a number of different tournaments. Lions tournament up here. I mean, there's just
Fresno, Easter
Classic. Yep. Tons of tournaments coming up here in the next few weeks. So, but before we get into the tournament stuff, it's been a couple of weeks since we've hopped on the podcast. Wanted to kind of catch up everybody with what we've seen. Hank, a guy you've seen a couple of times up in the NorCal area. You went to Fresno once to see him, and then he kind of came near you to see him again. TCU commit Logan Georges is having a pretty good start to his senior season.
Yeah, I know you're very high on Georges. From him being from that Fresno area, there's a lot of athletes out there that we've seen. But in the 2 times I've got to see him, the last one recently at Elk Grove High School, he flipped a switch. It was, I think he went 5 innings, 9 Ks. The velo held the same. It was around 92, 94, topping out of 5. But it was just I think the best way to put it was his demeanor. Something just changed with him, and he came out, and the slider was on. And as I've talked about before, it's a really plus pitch he's got. It's hard to see. The righties don't really have a shot, I think. And then his fastball was playing up in the zone. I mean, if you throw that off of a 92, 94 mile an hour heater, it's, you're doing something right. And, he's 6'5". It's a very powerful delivery. So I think he's just he's got to do what he's got to do this season. And then I think time will tell where he's going to end up. But whether he goes to TCU and throws, or if he gets drafted, Georges is a kid, I think he's got a very, very long future in this game. You just don't see arms like that, in the country, really. So,
yeah.
Let me ask you before we move on, what's like the word on the street up there in terms of, not only where he would be drafted, but like signability and stuff like that?
I think in terms of, if the opportunity is right, he's a kid that I think that could take it. He is on the little older side. I think he's a reclass. So, that might play a part in stuff too, but, I think all the scouts up here, they're pretty high on him. It's just a matter of, when it comes down to that time, what's going to happen. But he's definitely a kid to where I could see definitely signing.
Yeah. I just remember seeing him his freshman year, and like, dude, that's what it's going to look like.
And now it's like he's a senior, and it's like, told you so.
Right. Like, that's what it looks like.
But no, Very, very high on him. Then I'll kick it off to you. Lefty pitcher, Jason Jutranich. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad.
Jutranich
Oh,
from
there you go.
Torrey Pines. Yeah, left-handed pitcher going to UCSB next year. Saw him a couple weeks ago back in the early part of March. Got a start against Mount Carmel. They're the defending Division II champions down here in San Diego. And he came out first inning and stuff was just really live out of the hand. He was 88 to 90, top 91 in the first inning, picked up 2 Ks in the first, and then kind of settled in the rest of the way from innings 2 to 5, 85 to 88 range, but had a hammer curveball at 74 to 77, really good changeup at 79 to 70, 79 to 82. And I like the deception that he has out of the hand. It's kind of a closed off delivery where it's kind of hard to read for especially the right-handed hitters. Seemed like the changeup kind of just faded off and missed barrels. I think the next step for him though is can he get that 88 to 90 on a consistent basis for a long, extended start. Obviously the 85 to 88 I think played up just because of the, deception he had out of the hand. But I think for an evaluator's eyes, it's, what's the next step for him? It's a lean frame, still projection for him to fill out. And I think if you can get that consistent velocity, for 5 innings rather than what we saw in the first inning, is going to bode well for him at the next level. But really good start. Ended up going 5 shutout, 2 hits allowed, struck out 11, had swing and miss all day in the zone. Just a really good start for one of the top left-handed pitchers down here in San Diego. And Hardy, going to kick it over to you. 2026 shortstop from Buena, Brody Kaler.
Yeah, Brody's one I was excited to talk about. I think there's kind of an aha moment for all players that are good at baseball. Some of us have that aha moment when maybe we're in middle school or early in high school, or we realize like, hey, I'm good at this game, but I could probably be really good, maybe even great at it if I really put myself into everything beyond just playing. And I think Brody kind of had that realization after last year, just in looking at the way he's developed. The biggest thing for me was the massive strength gains that he's put on. I was talking to him after I saw him this is week 2, week 3 against San Marcos, and just asked him like, hey, how much weight have you gained? And he's like, I think I've put on about 30 to 35 pounds since last year. He's right around 200 now at 6'2", and you're seeing that dedication to everything about becoming really good or great at this game show up. I mean, he's got 5 home runs already this year. He hit 2 the day I was there. I've been going to games at Buena for 30 plus years now, and he hit a ball to center field that the only person I've seen hit a ball farther there was Delman Young again, who hit the ball farther than Braden Oliver at Camarillo. And we're talking about a 1-1 overall draft pick. That's the only farther ball that I've seen Brody. He's really good on the mound. I think there's potential there, but he doesn't quite grasp, how to be a pitcher. He's an athlete throwing, and he gets up to 90. He throws in the upper 80s consistently. There's some polish that needs to be done on that side of the game. And I think if he gets that polish, he's going to be really good on the mound. He's going to be really good on the infield. And I think he's kind of figured out that next step of I want to go from being good to really good or great at this game. Toss it over to you, Les, and we're going to go to a southpaw out of the Orange County area in Stevie Jones 2026 out of Corona Del Mar.
Yeah, man, the reigning California State Pitcher of the Week did not disappoint. I mean, in his last 3 outings, he has set the career strikeout record at CDM. He set the career wins record at CDM, and then last Friday absolutely dominated a 9-1 Newport Harbor team that was rolling and is a really good lineup. And we'll get the chance to see them in one of these tournaments we discussed a little bit later in the season. But, yeah, I mean, lefty, 85, 86, touching 87. Pretty good slider, actually really good slider at 74, 75. Pretty good changeup at 75, 77. Didn't throw it a whole lot. The interesting thing is he came out first pitch, leadoff hitter, gets a barrel on him. It was caught for an out. Second hitter, who's going to Cal, gets a barrel on him for a base knock. Third batter, first pitch, gets a barrel on him going to Santa Barbara, gets a barrel on him for a base knock, didn't give up another hit for a couple of innings, only gave up 2 more hits the rest of the game. But it's just the guy works fast. It's a really intriguing profile. It's one of those lefty bullpen arms that you think about when you're watching a college game. You're like, dude, this guy's just nasty. It's not because of his stuff, but it's like the package of his stuff and his delivery and the speed with which he works that just makes him a really kind of deceptive, annoying pitcher, if you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, dude, I don't want to face this guy anymore because he's just bothering me because he works so fast. He spots it up. He spots all 3 up, and he gets whiffs. He gets pretty weak contact outside of those first 3 barrels. And was just a really fun game to watch by 2 schools that are separated by, I don't know, 7 miles maybe. And it got a little chippy at times, and this guy was right in the middle of things, and just a really fun pitcher to watch do his job. Stevie Jones, like I said, the reigning California State Pitcher of the Week. Pretty intriguing stuff from him. But Hank, we're gonna go back to you for a 2028, another pitcher. Keone, you're gonna excuse me if I butcher this name. Keone Kaanahe from Liberty High School.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good, Les. But just to go, I think that leads perfect into talking about this kid, just because when I went and saw him pitch, I said the same thing. I was like, it was just fun to watch. As I've never seen this kid on the mound. Liberty is a kind of younger. They're a hot team right now. We put him in the Power 25 earlier. But if you look at the kid, he doesn't look like much. I'd say 5'10", 5'11", maybe 155 pounds soaking wet. So, like looking at it at first, you're kind of, iffy, but, within an inning, I was like, all right, this kid could pitch. Like, the velo's not going to excite you. It's 82 to 84, topping at 85, but this kid throws the whole kitchen sink at you. It's fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. And, for a younger arm, for him to be in the zone like that, that was what was really impressive. And he held his velo through his whole outing, and, he had to face Jesuit, and, they're one of the top teams up here. And, you're facing guys like Sammy Kane, Jordan Wazakowski. And so for a younger cat to do that, he definitely, made a mark, I think. And, I'd definitely see him getting a future games tryout just based off that, game I saw. But, he's one of those kids where, I think in a year or two, the velo will come because, he's a pitcher, like I said earlier, not just a thrower. And I think that will separate him when it really comes down to him playing this game long-term or, short term. But yeah, big fan of Keone. And then let's toss it over to you. Huh?
What do you say his last name?
Let's top of the pitcher. So
I'm a big fan of Keone.
I'm a big fan of Keone. But let's I'll pass over to you, Vin. Kid out of Mission Hills High School, Daxton Hyde.
Yeah, I saw Dax throw a couple weeks ago, early part of March, against Rancho Bernardo. And I just love kind of the projection that you can kind of, see in the future with Dax. Right now he's still kind of polishing and, figuring things out at the sophomore level, but he just shows a lot of flashes of what, could come later down the line. Get to start against Rancho Bernardo, one of not only the hottest teams, but the best teams down here in San Diego right now. Was 86 to 88, got up to 90 with the fastball. Curveball 74 to 75, and then threw just a wipeout changeup at 78 to 79 that he had present command for his entire outing. Struck out 6 in a 3-inning look, but he ended up striking out the first 4 batters of the game, which kind of goes back to what the flashes that he shows. And those were against 4, very established, varsity hitters who are, 350, 400 hitters over the last 2 years for RB. And it's just a lot of swing and miss with an athletic flow down the mound. Arm action's very smooth out of the hand. He's still prone to the barrel right now, some pitches in the zone. And I think that just kind of goes back to him just polishing up and, continuing to learn how to pitch. He's a 2-sport athlete, a basketball standout guy too. So it kind of just intrigues you that if there does come a time where he does focus more on one sport, kind of where he can take off in one aspect or the other. And he's also a two-way guy. I think future is more on the mound with him, but he's hitting over 300 right now as a sophomore. Already has a homer, 4 doubles, and Mission Hills right now is more in a rebuild period, and he's kind of the center of attention for them, batting in the middle of the order. He's really their frontline guy once league play starts. So there's obviously a little more pressure when you have that added on to playing as a sophomore, but I just can't wait to see kind of where he goes from here, because in 2 years, we could be talking about a guy who's, making some serious noise. Then Hardy, go over to you. Thousand Oaks guy, 2027 shortstop, Gavin Berrigan.
Yeah, Thousand Oaks was one of those teams I talked about in our preseason preview that I thought had a chance to be really good, and they've already exceeded my expectations when they're 11-0 at this point in the season. And there's a lot of reasons that they're 11-0, but one of the biggest reasons is the play of Gavin Berrigan. He didn't get a lot of time on varsity as a sophomore. He played some JV. He got up towards the end of the year. They had a senior shortstop last year, and he kind of waited his turn, and now he's got his shot, and Gab's crushing it. Like he started to come to events for us as a freshman, and you could see the baseball ability, you could see the tools, and he's just kind of had to wait his turn there, and he's used that time to work on his overall game. He came out to the LA preseason ID. He's another guy that's gained a lot of strength. His body's filled out. He's a 6'6" runner. The arm got stronger. The bat speed improved. The impact at contact improved. And now you're seeing all those metrics that we gather at events and how they're playing in game. And we're talking about a kid that, let me pull this up real quick, 11 games into the season, pretty much almost the halfway point of a high school season. He's hitting 514. He's got 19 hits. He's 7 of those are extra base hits. He's got 6 doubles. He's got a triple. The day I saw him, he doubled twice. He scored 13 runs. He's driven in 13 runs. But even more impressively, he's got a 578 on-base percentage. He's slugging 730. And we're not talking about a guy that's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a 5'10", 175-pound twitchy kid who's understanding that. He's walked more than he's struck out. He's playing really good defense. I got to go back and pull up real quick one thing. He's got 9 stolen bases in 11 games. So the speed plays, like he's the younger brother of a Pepperdine commit, Jameson, who's been a guy that I've been super, super high on. And I love the post that Thousand Oaks put out after it was the Berrigan brothers and that stepbrothers position where, one's sitting and one's standing, they're looking up off in the distance. And the Berrigan brothers are crushing it. And it's not just Jameson, maybe the little bit more famous one because of that Division I commit. Gavin's been a huge, huge reason behind that. And he's a kid that I put a tweet out and said, hey, if you're a college program and you're looking for a shortstop or a middle of the diamond guy who can hit at the top of the order, you better darn well have this kid's name on your list.
I mean, that's a season through 11 games, Hardy.
I went into it. It was funny. I was talking to the dad because there was like a mistake on their max prep stats because they have some uniforms that don't have the same number for 2 different jerseys. So he wears 2 different jerseys because of his number. And I was like, hey, is Gavin hurt? Like he's only got 4 bats on the year. And he's like, no, our max preps is all screwed up. Let me show you the game changer. And he shows it to me and I'm like, holy, like he's hitting 560 right now. He's like, yeah, he's playing kind of good. I'm like, kind of good. Like, he goes 2 for 3 that day and raises his batting average. Yeah. We'll talk about another kid like that later on.
He's having a career through 11 games. That's awesome.
It's just one of those, like, getting to see these kids and develop and over the course of 3 years, it's one of the funnest parts of this job is we get to know them as a freshman and we just get to see them keep getting better and better. And we're going to talk about one of those guys right here with you, Les, 2-time future gamer, Georgia Tech commit, Ezekiel Lara out of Mater Dei.
Yeah, Zeke, man, he was off to a really torrid start, through the first 5 games of the season for Mater Dei. He was hitting .412. I saw them when they played St. Mary's over at Mater Dei, and it was more of the same. I mean, you're talking about a deep sac fly RBI to center field, another barrel up the middle for a base hit. But it's what he does defensively that really stands out to me. I mean, he covers so much ground in center field. And you talk about seeing these guys from freshman year on up, the improved arm strength and just sheer physicality. I was down in the dugout talking to head coach Richard Mercado and pitching coach Dwayne Page before the game. And, Zeke came up, shook my hand, and it's just like, dude, he's like a whole new kid, right? He's probably put on 15 pounds since I last saw him. I mean, he's just strong. He's thick. He's still hovering around that 6'6" mark. And it's just a physical frame. It looks like a kid who's going off to play college baseball already, which is awesome. But it's the bat speed, it's the run speed, it's the arm speed. I mean, speed is the name of his game. And in center field, he's doing just a remarkable job. There was one play where he's coming in on the ball into his left, makes the catch, takes one step and throws an absolute seed to home plate, that kept it wasn't super deep, but it wasn't shallow by any means. And he was moving to his left, and the runner wisely decided to stay at third base because he probably would have been hosed by a couple of steps. I mean, that's how good the throw was on a line from Zeke. And so just wanted to give him a shout out because, the gains that he's made, you mentioned he's a 2-time future gamer for us. The gains that he's made since we last saw him at the future games, it just really, really speak to kind of his commitment to, his game and obviously his future at Georgia Tech. So, Zeke Lara is having a really good season for Mater Dei, and just wanted to give him, some recognition for that because in that particular game, he did more than just hit the ball really well. His defense has really elevated as well. So with that, Hank, I'm going to throw it back over to you with a 2027 outfielder, right-handed pitcher, again from Liberty High School, Chase Formosa.
Yeah, Liberty's got some really good talent this year, but the one other kid that I saw that really caught my eye was this Chase Formosa kid. I think he's trending as one of the better Northern California hitters just in general. It's hard, like as far as a lefty stick up here, it's pretty. I mean, last year I believe he got MVP of his league. He hit 450, had like 37 hits. The intriguing part was he's had no home runs. So what that's telling me is I think the power is just going to be untapped a little later. And he's already off to a great start this year. He's hitting over 400. The game I saw specifically, he went 3 for 4. He had a double to right field off the wall. He had a single up the middle, and then he hit another single to left center. And for me in a game, saying 3 singles to the right side is one thing, but this kid's using the whole field. It's telling me he's got really good bat to ball. It's really just hard to find. And this kid's also 6'3", 220, and he runs a 6'7", 6'8". He was an area code kid, and I don't think he gets enough love he deserves just from what he does. He's in that Brentwood area. It's still really good baseball, but this is a kid to where I think he's going to help any team that he gets in front of, whether that's his summer team or his future college team or whatever. But this is a perfect example of a kid who just puts his head down and works hard and, lets things come to him. So I think, he's still got time too. He's only a junior, but, he's also a two-way. He's up to 89 on the mound, throws strikes, but, it's just hard to find kids like this. But, I had a lot of good things to say about Formosa.
I'm glad you mentioned that in game all fields, right? Like we see so much BP like at our events.
Yeah.
And it's like easy to
changes.
say. Yeah, it's easy to say, right? Like he has an all fields approach. And I think it's probably an overused term by a lot of people.
It's a generic term.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's like, but when you see it in game, like you said, like that really excites you, right? Especially when it's like 3 hits, like you're going off one off the wall and right, then up the middle, then over to the left side. That's pretty exciting. Where do you like it more, at the plate or on the mound?
I think at the plate, I am really, that's where I'm thinking, but he's just so raw on the mound, and with a kid with, 6'3", 220, it's like, we could tweak some stuff there. And, but he can defend center, I think he's got a shot to be center to right field, one of those two.
Sounds like a senior future games guy.
Yeah, for sure. The next kid we'll pass to you, Vin. Freshman, it looks like, out of Granite Hills, Colton Wyndham.
Yeah, Wyndham off to a scorching start at the varsity level. Hitting 467 right now in 30 at bats. He's got a homer, a triple, double. He's driven in 9 for Granite Hills. Batting 4th and 5th in their order. Left-handed hitter, plays third base, and the live look I had him against Coronado, he was facing a very good right-handed arm. One of the top San Diego arms that we've had the last 2+ years down here, and he just put together very mature at bats. First at bat, I think he worked a 6-pitch at bat, ended up finishing with a base hit up the middle to drive in a run. Comes back later, hits a sacrifice fly to center field. Just probably a foot in front of the warning track in left center, kind of going the other way. Saw him in his third AB, fight off a lot of pitches, ended up launching a baseball foul that would have been a home run if it was inside the pole. Just showed off the pole side approach that he can get the hands inside. Ends up barreling another baseball. Plays a very good third base, made a couple plays to his forehand side, made a throw on the run, kind of just looks the part as a third baseman. And physically, he doesn't, come off as a freshman. It's already some developed fill in the upper half of the frame. And it's just a very smooth left-handed stick that, I think you can kind of just look later down the line. And in 2 years, we're going to be talking about a top player in California. And he's already one of the top players in the 29 class, for our state. And just getting eyes on him and seeing him in person, there's no question that the hype is definitely real around him, and it's going to be somebody I think we're going to be talking about for a long time.
Yeah, when you get tipped off about guys who are freshmen from advisors, that's usually something that you want to follow up on, man. So I'm fired up when you got a chance to see him, because that swing looks very real.
Yeah, it plays. It's like first impressions last, and like you get a good first impression on a freshman, it's just kind of going to continue, I think, to carry over for years to come. So, Hardy, going over to you, another freshman. This one out of Highland, shortstop Nate Kios.
Yeah, made my trip out to the high desert last week. It's not often I can say that it was colder in the high desert than it was on the Central Coast with that heat wave we had going. But it was the Highland Quartz Hill Series, which for the last 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years, the winner of that series kind of wins the Golden League. And, Highland won it last year. They've got the 3-year in a row player of the year in that league. But I was really curious to see, they had to replace a shortstop who transferred. And I wanted to see, how they're going to handle that, because he was probably their second best, third best player on a league championship team. And this kid, Nate Quijas, and I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, has taken over as a freshman. And anytime you see freshmen starting on varsity, you're interested. Then you see a freshman starting on varsity at shortstop in any program. I don't care who you are, what level. Like, when you're a shortstop and you're a freshman, like, all right, watch him take infield, outfield. He shows a good foundation. The feet work, the hands are good. Like a freshman, the arms got some work, but the kid's 15 years old. Like, he's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. He's going to throw harder, but he could make the throw. It had carry. It got there. It's just not a cannon going across the diamond. And then he comes up his first at bat, and he's facing 82, 85, I think is what the Quartz Hill kid was throwing. And in context, you think, what are most freshmen doing? They're playing freshmen, they're playing JV baseball, and they're probably facing 68 to 75. So he's getting a good 10 miles an hour firmer. He hits a one-hop rocket at the second baseman. Then he draws a walk. Then he gets on top of a 2-strike breaking ball and chops it over the third baseman's head. Then he goes right center field for a single. And I really like the way the hands work in the swing. He's got to do some work on the body and just kind of syncing everything up a little bit. But if you got good hands and your hands have a feel for the barrel, you got a chance to hit. And Hank, you said it earlier, like, he can use the whole fielding game. He went to the backside. He went to the gaps. He went to the pull side, and he was able to kind of maneuver the baseball around. He's only going to hit it harder as he gets bigger and stronger. And just for fun, because, we all love stats, the kid's 10 games into his high school career playing varsity level baseball, hitting 400 with a 500 on-base percentage, with a 600 slugging percentage. He's almost even walked a strikeout He's got 2 more strikeouts than walks right now. He's hit the ball with some authority. He's got a couple extra base hits. He's driving runs in. Like, it's a name to follow in an area that I don't think gets enough love. There's really good baseball out in the high desert, and not everybody's willing to go out there and see it because there's good players out there. And he's the next in a line of very good high desert players that are going to be college level players, in my opinion. Let's kick it back to you, Les. And you said this statement earlier, and you said it about Logan George. This is what they look like. And I think you can say it a little bit about this kid also in J.J. Haley out of Corona Del Mar, the 2028 outfielder.
Yeah, I got a call before the start of the season from a college coach asking me if I had seen this guy. And no joke, probably 3 hours later, an advisor called me, asked me if I had seen this guy. I had not seen him, only on video. And so I made the drive out to Corona Del Mar, where I saw Stevie Jones carve up, and got a chance to see J.J. Haley, the outfielder, starting center fielder. Throws left, bats right. And you're right, man. This is what it looks like. I think I texted you guys that, he's got a little Will Gasparino in him. And it reminded me of Will when Will was a sophomore, maybe not as tall as Will was, but similar frame, similar style game. The swing is pretty similar. He runs well like Will did as a sophomore. I'm not saying he's Will Gasparino because what he's doing on the college level right now is pretty absurd. But I think J.J. Haley's going to have a chance to do the same stuff in college because, he's a really athletic outfielder who can go get it. He's got some arm strength already. Just watching him and in and out, you get a little idea of the arm strength. He didn't have any throwing opportunities in the game, but he did have some opportunities to show off the range where he made a play deep to his left, so right center field. Then he made another play ranging to his right and left center field, which, kind of gives you an indication that he's got the athletic ability, but not only that, but the instincts and, gets good reads, good jumps off the bat. But I think at the plate's where he's going to really make a name for himself because it's a pretty simple, very short stride, if any, approach, but he's able to get that lower half mixed in very easily. He hit a couple ground balls hard through the infield. He hit one that handcuffed the shortstop, reached, they called it an error. I suppose it is, but in my book, that thing was a laser right at the shortstop, handcuffed him, forcing the bad play there. Runs well. I had him at 4.3, 4.4 from the right side down the line. It's just a guy who's uber projectable at 6'2", maybe 6'3", but probably closer to 6'2", if not a tick below that. Just uber projectable with, some size on his frame right now, but a frame that's only going to get bigger and stronger. And just one of those guys that, we hope to see at a future games tryout because you trot him out in Georgia at future games in front of 460 plus college coaches, and he's going to immediately catch their attention. So it's just, it's one of those guys that, like you said, you show up to the ballpark. I think we said it in the last podcast, show up to the ballpark, immediately catches your attention. And you say, kind of like we talked about with Parker Smith, Vinny, when I first saw him, was like, who's that guy? Right. And because that's what they look like. So, all right, Hank, we'll go back to you up in NorCal, Rio Americano High School, one of our favorites, and Bryce Kurihara.
Yeah, we've seen Bryce. We've talked about him a lot. I just happened to go out to a game to see him, and kid hits a bomb. So, I got pretty lucky. He did what he was supposed to do. It was they were playing Wood Creek High School, who's pretty good team out here in Roseville. They have some pretty good pitchers, and I think it was his second at bat. Second at bat, he actually goes double to left center field. Our future gamer, Trey Hal Chase, was on base. He unfortunately gets thrown out at home plate, but Bryce really did a good job of just the pitch was up and away, and he just did one of those where got on top of it, and it was just smoked through the gap. And he just continues to hit. And then like I said, later in the game, he comes up. I forgot the score. It was close. But, he goes pull side Jimmy, and he's a switch hitter. So, and I think he only hit lefty that game. There's no lefties on the mound, but he's just a kid that I think, we've talked about before. He's going to get faster. He's going to get stronger than what he is. And when I see it, he's got some, my comparison for him's a little Steven Kwan in him. Just, they're kind of around the same height. Kwan is obviously faster, but, I think Kirihara has the potential to where the bat could reach that level of, elite bat to ball skills. He doesn't strike out much. It's just he's got to mature his approach in shorter terms. But, I love watching this kid play. He's got a shot to go to Georgia. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to see him just finish his season because they're having a really good year. They're 11-3, and our boy Hal is hitting over 500 for them. So it's been a fun year for Rio.
I'm just stunned that somebody threw Trey out at home plate. Like, how much arm strength does this kid have? Like,
it was
Trey out of the plate.
Hold on, this was probably the best high school relay.
Backstory.
Best
I
high school
the story
relay
because I'm over here jaw dropped.
So Trey gets on. He gets the second, steals, and then Bryce hits the base hit. Trey, they round him. It was the best high school relay I've seen in about, and obviously up here. Guy gets it, goes through. Third baseman catches it, throws him out at home, gets Trey right in the leg.
Oh.
So, but, on video, might have been otherwise, but it's high school umpires.
That sounds more like it then. Just give him a reason to call him out.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go with the out because of the pretty relay. Reward the pretty relay, right?
Yeah, that's
dinner time was getting close. Got to get home, get the game over.
Right. Dude, I was going to say, dude, THC's a freak athlete, man. Like,
he also sticking that he quit the other sports too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's sticking straight to baseball, and there's no more basketball, no more soccer, and
there's about to be a ceiling that gets broken through up there when that kid puts all his efforts into one sport. He's gonna take
it. He made a comment. He goes, "Hank, I'll see you at the pro case. I'm running 6'3". I was like, okay.
Running 5'9".
Yeah, 6'3", bro. Would he slow all of a sudden? Come on,
like, okay, Trey. It was good seeing those guys. But let's pass over to Vin. Looks like Granite Hills has got another freshman who's pretty good. Jaden Macias.
Yeah, I saw Jaden. They have 3 really good freshmen over at Granite Hills, and maybe have an opportunity to talk about the other one another time. But this one actually came in as one I didn't know of. I knew of the other 2 going into Granite Hills, but had a chance to see Macias going into the Coronado game. Started at second base and ended up barreling a ball to left field in a second at bat in a 2-strike count. Fought off some pitches, ended up barreling a baseball. But the intriguing profile really, for me, stood out on the mound. Came out in relief with a lead and ended up going 2 1/3 shutout with 4 strikeouts. Fastball was 82 to 84, got up to 85 on a few occasions. Slider was 72 to 74, had strikeability with it in the zone. Had some uncomfortable swings with it. And then he also sprinkled in a changeup at 77, even though I think that's, kind of a developing pitch for him. It's really a 2-pitch profile at the moment. And when he stepped on the mound, immediately what stood out was kind of the comparison of Nathaniel Maldonado that we had at our preseason All-State at La Mirada. And it's kind of just the compact profile. He's probably 5'8", some strength in the lower half, kind of similar to how Maldonado had. And they're both are just strike throwers. They're both, mid-80s with the fastball, but they paint the edges, pitch to contact, a lot of ground ball contact. And Maldonado is one of our standout guys, over at La Mirada for our preseason All-State. And, I think Macias is just another guy that, is going to have a pretty good varsity career on the mound, also as a 2-way guy. And, I'm just intrigued to see where Granite Hills goes from here because, they had a very deep 2025 senior core last year, and now they're producing 3 freshmen who are, making impact right away. So, I think these are 3 names that we're going to know for a while out of Granite Hills. And Hardy will pass.
Reload, not rebuild.
Yeah. Some pro teams, they just know how to do it. And then Hardy, I mean, there's really not enough to say about this next name that we're going to talk about. I mean, one of one is what it seems like with what we're talking about here. So a 2029 outfielder out of Dos Pueblos.
Matty DiMaggio. I mean, I'm running out of superlatives to describe this kid. And it's one of those things like, I don't care who you are. If you've never watched a baseball game in your life, you come watch this kid play and you're going to go, that's the best player on the field. Like that kid does things that nobody else can do. For me, this was more like I've seen Matty, and Les, you said this, when advisors tip you off and you want to go see a kid, people have been telling me about Matty DiMaggio since he was 10. And I've had the hardest time to just be like, let's pump the brakes, people. Like, come on. Like, let's get this kid a chance to get to high school and, play some high school baseball. And what he's doing to high school baseball is just stupid. Like, I can't describe it. But this is more kids who are elite, maybe sometimes rest on that being elite and just kind of stay with what's working. Watching Matty now for the third time, he's not resting on his laurels. He's trying to figure out how to keep getting better. Like, how do I become one of one and one of none? Like, there's nobody like me out there.
Yeah.
I had some worries in the fall with his handset. He had this deep, very deep, high handset, and I kind of like somebody might be able to get up and in on him. Maybe they can spin some breaking balls down and in on him. Like, there's some spots this kid can be pitched to with that handset. Well, he went to work on it. He's moved the hands closer to his head. They're kind of the same height, but now they're in a better position where he can get to all 9 quadrants of the strike zone. He can get to pitches outside of the strike zone. There was kind of a heavy foot land back in November when I saw him, and now he's staying more balanced. He doesn't get onto that front side quite as heavy. So he also experienced his first over. He went over 3 the game before I saw him, and I was really curious, how does he respond? They went to the Ted Williams shift, and they've got 2 outfielders basically playing right field. They've got 3 guys on the first base side of the infield. The third baseman's playing shortstop. The left fielder's essentially in left center field. They went left on left breaking balls, and he didn't get a hit, but I heard he smoked 2 balls, just didn't get a hit. So he comes out his first at bat and same exact look, righty spinning soft breaking balls, just misses under 1. Second at bat, he spits on a couple pitches, and then all of a sudden just unloads on a no-doubter. Like, I had to keep myself from saying a 4-letter word when he hit it on the video because it was just like, oh, wow. And then he draws a walk, and that is probably even more impressive than the 9 home runs in 14 games. The kid's walked 20 times and hasn't struck out. And literally, he got the 3-2, and you can hear the Dos Pueblos parents going, ooh, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Nope. Fights off 3 straight breaking balls. They try to throw a fastball down, and I counted 20 pitches. He saw 19 off-speed pitches. He saw 1 fastball. The 1 fastball he saw was at his ankles. So it's just what this kid is doing, and I've had a scout tell me something that made me go, that's not a bad idea, and I kind of jokingly came back with something else. Is like, it's going to get to the point that it's Bryce Harper-ish, and I hate to say that because it's kind of like you said about Will Gasparino less, but what's high school baseball going to do for this kid for 4 more years? Yeah. Like, I hope people have the courage of what Pacifica did. They had a chance to walk him, and I talked to their coach afterwards. He's like, yeah, we could put him on there, but I said, you know what? Let's go get him. He's still a baseball player. And he's like, now I look back and go, well, I might not have been the right choice when he hit that ball 480 feet. But I hope more people have the courage to do that and don't just go put him on base. But it's one of one. I said this kid's got a chance to be the best player I've ever seen in the Channel League. And at this point, I might be too low on him, which is hard to believe with how good he is and how high I am on him. Okay, so we go from one elite player to
What a
the 2027 elite player, Dylan Seward, Norco, shortstop. Let's hear it, Les.
Yeah, can we just copy paste what you just said about like change the name here? Because I mean, there's not much else to say, right? I mean, he's the number 1 player in the country, and like what I like that you touched on Matty, that he hasn't struck out, and I've been watching Suey since, he was in 8th grade and he first came to a Rising Stars event and in high school for 2.5 years. And the thing that impresses me the most is like, he just doesn't strike out. Like he doesn't strike out. I don't know the exact number of Ks he's got in his career, but like, I don't think I've seen him strike out once. And, it's really just a remarkable stat, right? I mean, because you talk about elite hitters and this guy's elite for both sides. Like that's what is wild to me. Like this guy was bored during COVID and taught himself how to switch hit, and he might be a better hitter from the left side than his natural right side, and that is just mind blowing to me. But in this game against Centennial, left-handed, he hits a missile to the right side for a base knock. What does he do? His next one, he gets 2-2 count, gets an elevated fastball. They try to sneak it by him. He goes up and out, of the yard to just left of dead center. And then he comes back up and he hits another seed to the right side, left-handed. And then they bring in a lefty for his last at bat. And what does he do? He hits a missile to the right side where I think he broke his bat. He kind of confirmed that the next day via text, like, it's going in the graveyard. So it's, that tells you a little bit something about his strength too, right? I mean, because you look at him and you're like, he's kind of smallish, right? Maybe 6 foot, not the biggest, strongest dude, but dude, he's built like he is. Yeah. Just rock solid. There's not a better defensive shortstop in, I think, the country, but I haven't seen them all. But I would put my money on him defensively at shortstop against anybody in the country, certainly in the 27 class. We had a guy when I texted him some video of Suey, to somebody we all know who will remain nameless on this podcast, but he said that he was talking to scouts where he was, and he said that if Suey were to reclass, he would be in the conversation for 1-1 this year, even with Rock Chalowski in that conversation. And that's high praise, guys. But I mean, when you watch Suey, like you're just like, okay, like that's easy to have that conversation, right? And you think about, hell, I mean, if he would have reclassified 2 years into last year's draft, like, is he going before Billy Carlson? Like, I don't know, right? I mean, obviously it's just all hearsay and, us just assuming things, but it's a legit switch hitting 5-tool shortstop. Yeah. I mean, that's where the conversation starts. And in my book, that's where the conversation ends.
Yeah.
Because it's that good. Like it's absurd. And I see
I go back to Pro Case last year, and I'm
sitting there grinning, right? Like, dude, last year crazy, but like you've seen video, Hank.
No,
I'm gonna agree at the highest level, right? And like
he stopped everybody at Pro Case last year. Like when he ran his 60, an entire event of elite players and scouts and everybody. He took the first 3 steps, and everybody stopped what they were doing and just watched. Like,
he didn't even talk about it. He's a 6'17", 6'25" runner. Like that's what he is. Like didn't even talk about that.
I hope the first time these days.
I didn't even mention that. And I didn't even mention that, right?
Yeah.
And when you add the hands, the bat, like it's a 5-tool switch hitting shortstop who will be a 5-tool switch hitting shortstop wearing a Nike MLB jersey one day.
Yeah.
Probably sooner than later.
2 years.
Right. Probably sooner than later.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and that's a kid too, to where it's like, okay, let's say Seward wants to pursue college. Think about if he does, 2 or 3 years out of college, how much would that even benefit him at that point? I don't know.
Like, I don't think it would, right?
Right.
Like, and Josh Elander, if you're listening to this, like, I'm sorry, but I mean, you better get the guy $7 million. Like, if you want to step foot on campus, right? Like, you better guarantee the guy 2 years, $14 million for him to go to Tennessee and bypass.
You better hope there's some major changes to the draft in this upcoming CBA. Like, cross your fingers,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
you said it right. Like, what does it do for him? It's what I said with Maddie. Like, what does 4 years in high school do for him? What's 2 to 3 years in college going to necessarily do for him?
Yeah, right.
And I mean, you're thinking about it too from like a non-pitcher perspective. It's like, okay, disregard the pitching side. If he can compete with this right now, then let's take that gamble. Let's take that chance. And I don't know. I think he's in a really good spot.
Well, dude, all you got to know is in our All-American game, the guy he took off the center field wall for his inside the park home run, which in and of itself is absurd. Like, that guy is probably a top 3 to 5 round guy, right? A top 3 round guy, 4 round guy. I mean, and he's doing that as a incoming junior against an incoming senior who many people have in the top 3 rounds of their draft. Like, he's absurd. So, Suey, props to you, man, because it's been a fun ride watching you from that first Rising Stars game through now, and we still got another year and a half to get to watch you in another pro case, and I'm sure another All-American game to watch yet. So that's going to be fun to watch. All right, with that, Hank, I'm going to go back to you. A 26 out of Elk Grove High School, Tristan Bartlett.
Yeah, Bartlett, he came down to our state games, and he's put on a couple pounds of muscle since then, but he's a spark plug for that Elk Grove team. There's a reason, that they're, 8-1 right now. He's an energetic kid. He's, comes up to you, gives you a hug. But he's the leadoff hitter for Elk Grove, and he took Logan George's 94-mile-an-hour fastball to left center like it was, no problem. So I think, he's just one of those kids. So I think he's signed to go to Fresno Pacific. And I think he will play as a freshman just because he's that dynamic. He's been pitching for Elk Grove too. He comes in and closes. He's a 1-2 inning guy. I think I don't know if he's going to pitch at the next level, but the bat, it's not your prototypical, short 2, long through. It's stay short and be short. And, he hits the ball hard. And I think that plays levels in a game. His BP is not going to impress you at all. It's a boring BP, but, I take pride in having a boring BP. And, with him, it's a super short swing, but his short swing plays the velo. And, that's exactly what I saw. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, hits over 300 next year at a college or at his college and, is an impact player. But I think, he's trending in a really good direction, and, he's got another teammate going down there with him too at Fresno Pacific. So he'll have some comfort back home. Then we'll pass it over to your last guy out of Cathedral Catholic, Caden Kuhn.
Yeah, I got to see Caden about 2 weeks ago against San Marcos, which is a really good program down here. He's their starting third baseman, hits in the middle of the order, but, future for him, I think, definitely lies on the mound. Saw him come out of relief to pick up a save for Cathedral Catholic, who's on a roll to start this season. One of our top teams ranked here in the Power 25. Comes in the 7th inning, fastball rolls out 90 to 92, got up to 94, change up at 79, picked up swing and miss with that, but it was mainly a fastball attack for him in that 7th inning. I also saw him over MLK weekend when he got a 2-inning start against Huntington Beach, and he ran that a fastball, I believe 90 to 93 in the 2 innings. It was a 3-pitch mix guy on that specific evening. Fastball comes straight over the top. It's a downhill delivery. It's a very physical frame. He's, filled out, really head to toe. It's a thick lower half where I think the velocity is going to continue to climb for him. And when I speak of the velocity gains, first time I saw him was last spring, pretty much around this time, was at the Boris over at Jay Sarah, and the fastball was only 86 to 87. It was heavy out of the hand, but, it wasn't 90 to 93, getting up to 94. So you can really see the strength gains that he's made over the last 12 months. And, I think that's going to continue to climb for him because he just seems like he's, really filling out and investing in the weight room. And, by the time he gets to Cornell next year, it'll be interesting to see kind of where where he goes. It seems like a reliever profile, but a guy like that, he got a 2 inning start back in MLK weekend. Maybe he's a guy that gets stretched out, but regardless, it's a power arm for Cathedral Catholic, who is expected to make a deep run this spring.
Ivy League, man, those guys just
Yeah.
starting to pump out some big time arms. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Hardy, kick it back over to you for your last guy, sophomore left-handed pitcher from Santa Barbara, Jack Paskin.
Yeah, Jack was a fun one. He was going to be on varsity no matter what, but I think the original role for him was kind of more of a third starter, bullpen arm. But due to some unfortunate injuries to what is, Santa Barbara's run out some good arms recently. They've got their 2 starters from last year. One kid's pitching and starting at University of Puget Sound, D3 as a freshman. They've got another kid, Zeke Adderley, who's back on the East Coast playing Division I baseball. And then they had a pair of Division I commits in the 2027 class, and Tanner Wilson and Tosh Whitworth, who both have just kind of suffered some unfortunate injuries. And it pushed Jack into the ace role, who's taking the ball on Tuesdays. And the kid's done a fantastic job. And I think he's going to just be the next in line of what's been a really good group of pitchers coming through this program. 6'1", 6'2". I think he lists himself at 6'3", and he might be there. I'm not always the best judge of height. It's a solid frame. It's not super skinny. It's not super strong. It's just kind of developing. Good feel for 3 pitches. It was 81 to 83 with kind of a sinking fastball that had some arm side run and some depth. He touched 84 with it. Really good feel for an upper 70s changeup, like mid upper 70s, but he turns it over well. Tunnel's really, really good off of his fastball. I mean, you got the fastball running here, and then you got the change diving down more. The curveball's got some potential. I know that's always a dicey word. It was upper 60s to touching 70. I liked the shape of it. It's just going to need to add power, but he's going to add power as he keeps filling out and he keeps strengthening the arm. But what impressed me with the kid was the ability to throw strikes, to pitch, the feel for the changeup, the confidence. It was a good 4 innings that I saw. He got touched up in 1 inning, and it was more a product of bad luck because he just doesn't miss a ton of bats yet. But he gives up a ground ball single. He gives up a seeing eye single. Lefty puts down a beautiful base hit bunt, loads the bases. He leaves an 0-2 fastball up in the zone, gives up a hit, and they wind up scoring 3 off him. But Paskin, for where he's at, it's a really good foundation that's only just going to keep getting better as he goes forward, and it's a good name for coaches to pay attention to on the Central Coast. And let's clean it up with a 2026 who I know Hank loves, I know Les loves, and looks like a really good late uncommitted guy in Ethan Silva out of St. Mary's.
Yeah, man, I immediately really like this guy. His first at bat, I mean, it was a hard line drive out to left field, kind of showing that opposite field approach. But then, he manages to come up his next time and goes deep to right field again. Hank, to steal a term from you earlier, you kind of showing that all field approach. Had another base hit up the middle. So using all 3 fields, but. Dude, this guy is a pest on the bases, man. He just causes havoc, doesn't stand still. He's just one of those pesky guys that's always moving, always trying to, mess with the pitcher's cadence, trying to, get the guy to throw over. And it's just one of those guys who's on your team, you love him. He's on the other team, you don't love him so much. But I think I remember texting Hank. He was playing shortstop for St. Mary's. I was texting in our group, hey, I really like this guy. Hank mentioned, he's probably long-term a second baseman. And I can see that where I think it plays up for him at second base, right? I think the athleticism plays up. It's not because of a lack of arm strength. It might be more so his size. He's probably in that 5'10", 5'9" area where I think the athleticism, again, will play up at second base. But, dude, this guy's got some juice in the bat, right? And just – looking at him before, he hit a bomb the day before against Jay Serra, hit a bomb here against Mater Dei, and just following them since they've played down here in SoCal. He's done a really good job with the bat to ball skills. It's just a really intriguing profile. It's a guy who, as an uncommitted senior, I think is going to have a chance to play, whether that's at a JUCO level or that's at a 4-year school starting next year. It's a guy who is just one of those dudes. I mentioned it when he's on your team, you love to have him. You hate to play against those guys, but he can run the bases, he can steal bases, he can defend pretty well. He can hit the snot out of the ball. And Ethan Silva, the 26th out of St. Mary's, is definitely one of those guys, right? Who it's committed senior. Like we were talking, I think off air, there was a 4-year school that mentioned Vinnie to you, like looking for, names. Like that's a name I would throw out right away because he's one of those scrappy, play with a chip on your shoulder type guys. And that litter college programs, as we know.
Yeah. Silva's a guy, he reminds me of if you hit, you won't sit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you see him thrown in left field at a D1 program next year, just because
they'll find a place for you.
Bat rakes, and
I
think he can potentially be a third or second baseman type guy.
Mm-hmm.
Third because the power I think is going to stay.
Yeah.
But I just think he doesn't have enough reps at short. He had to DH for them last year, so that took a full year of defense away. But like you said, bat will play anywhere, and it's hard to find lefties who rake and that are athletic.
There's enough arm strength, right, for either corner outfield spot. I mean, he could probably even shuffle over to right. I mean, that arm's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think he's got some more in the tank too in the body. He's a solid kid. It's like almost 200 pounds. So
I think they listed at 190.
Yeah, he's about 5'10", 5'11". Bless you.
Thank you. All right.
Well done on the mute button, by the way. That was
dude, how about
perfectly
that,
timed. Look at you. Goodness.
It's like we've done this before. Holy smokes. All right, fellas, that wraps it up. 20 names that we've seen in the last week and a half or so. Looking ahead to this week, tournaments starting mainly next week. But looking ahead, what are you guys looking forward to this week?
Marmani League play. The chaos is getting ready to start. Everybody's opening up this week, so I think I'm going to get TO again, go see them against a good Calabasas squad. Finally going to circle back to Oaks, Newberry, and it's going to be a wild ride in that league, and it all gets started this week.
I got league play.
What'd you say?
I got league play. League play just started up here, so it's going to get kind of intense because nobody knows who's going to win the league this year.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of similar. Up in Temecula area, Southwestern League play gets going, so having a chance to see 4 of those teams, it's going to be entertaining because obviously Temecula Valley, I think the team to beat in that league this year, but Vista Marietta still probably has a say in the matter. Great Oak always produces some good arms, and then have an opportunity to see a specific player from El Centro that I'm excited to see. So it's going to be a good week.
I love when you go see guys and you start to tweet about them and talk about them, and then other people like, oh yeah, look, here, we'll go watch this guy too. Beauty.
Just keep following the coattails.
Right. For me, it's Wednesday's a big one. I'll be seeing Striker Pence against Corona, and which.
Have you put your tent out yet?
Get there early.
So you sleeping there for the week?
I already texted Wise and hey, save me a spot back there, and I'm sure he'll help us out. But then probably some Trinity League action after that. So it should be a good week. So if you see us at the ballpark, come up, say hi. We'd like to chat. And until then, we will see you